All right, today we're going to dive into a pretty high-stakes comeback story in the electric vehicle world. We're talking about NIO, a company that's really at a crossroads right now. And lucky for us, we've got our hands on a new report from Goldman Sachs that gives us a fascinating look at their plan to fight back. Let's see what they found.
Okay, so first things first, what's the big problem here? Well, just look at this. NIO's slice of the pie in China's ridiculously competitive EV market has basically been cut in half. It's dropped from almost 4% back in 2020 all the way down to just 2% today. I mean, that's a huge drop, right? Something's got to give.
And that's why this is truly a make-or-break moment for them. You know, when you lose that much ground, you can't just sit on your hands. You have to respond, and you have to respond decisively. NIO's answer? A two-pronged attack designed to take back what they've lost.
So what does this attack look like? Well, it comes in the form of two brand new, really competitive cars. Let's meet them.
Okay, this is where NIO's strategy gets really interesting. They're not just putting all their eggs in one basket. Nope, they're going after two totally different parts of the market at the same time. You've got the Onvo L90, aimed right at that massive mid-range family market, and then you have the revamped ES8, targeting the high-end premium SUV space. That's a really bold play, trying to hit both ends of the spectrum at once.
Now, while the Onvo is the new kid on the block, the ES8, well, that's a whole different story. This is a total reinvention of their very first car. And I'm not talking about a minor facelift here. We're talking significant, game-changing upgrades.
First up, they've slashed the price. We're talking a 16% drop in the starting price. That's a big deal. That move alone makes it way more competitive against heavy hitters like the Anito M9. That's an aggressive chess move for sure. And get this, on top of being cheaper, they've boosted the driving range by a whopping 37%. I mean, that's huge. They're tackling range anxiety head-on, which, as you know, is one of the biggest hurdles for anyone thinking about buying an EV. Okay, so that's the battle plan. A two-pronged attack with better prices, better range. But the real question is it actually working? Let's take a look at the early numbers. So let's start with the Onvo L90, the one aimed at families. It came out of the gate strong. I mean, just its first 24 days, we're seeing 8,800 insurance registrations. In a market this crowded, that's a really solid start. But hold on, because here's where it gets really interesting. The report points to comments from NIO's management, and apparently, the more expensive premium ES8, it's seeing even stronger pre-sales than the Onvo. That's pretty wild, right? It tells you their high-end play is really hitting the mark with buyers.
Okay, so you'd think with numbers like these, analysts would be all in, right? Well, not exactly. Goldman Sachs is actually a bit more cautious, and the big question is, why?
Yeah, their official rating on the stock is neutral. And you've got to ask, with two hot new cars flying off the shelves, why not a buy rating? What are they seeing that we aren't?
Well, basically, a neutral rating means they're saying, look, these new cars are great, but we don't think they're enough to blow the competition out of the water just yet. It's like NIO just took a huge leap forward, but the rest of the pack is sprinting right alongside them.
And that caution really comes down to one thing. The market is just an absolute shark tank right now. Think about this. They're not just fighting a few competitors. They're up against an insane 120 new EV models hitting the market. With that kind of flood, price wars are almost inevitable, and it puts a massive squeeze on profits.
And, just for full transparency, it's worth pointing out that the report itself discloses that Goldman Sachs has an investment banking relationship with NIO. This is totally standard stuff for these kinds of research reports, but it's important context to have.
So, where does all this leave NIO? What's next? Well, it really sets up this classic story of a company trying to balance its awesome new products with some pretty harsh market realities. And the report kind of boils it all down to this. On the one hand, you have the upside risks. What if government support gets stronger? What if these awesome early sales numbers just keep getting better? That's the dream scenario. Then you've got the downside. What if sales fizzle out? Or worse, what if the competition forces them into even deeper price cuts? At the end of the day, it's a race. Can their great new cars outrun these crazy market headwinds?
And that really leaves us with the big question, doesn't it? NIO's clearly got some fantastic new cars, but they're fighting in one of the toughest markets on the planet. Is this new strategy going to be enough to pull off a real comeback? Honestly, it leaves them at a fascinating crossroads, and the next few months, well, they're going to be absolutely critical to watch.